my goodness me. Oh my goodness, you can tell the season started, Butch, can't you?
Audience
Easily the best audience since last week. Well done. Hello, capacity crowd. I think the beers have helped, don't you?
Well, they were here early, the boys.
They were here nice and early, yeah. Well, they're taking on fluids because it's fairly hot here this evening. Hello, I'm Mark Murphy. Welcome to episode 4 of Life's a Pitch TV on podcast and YouTube, brought to you in association with DPS Tech. I hope you'll join us every week for some big-name Ipswich Town guests, and we've got a massive guest lined up for you this evening. We'll have all the latest news on the Super Blues, looking back at previous matches and looking ahead to the ones still to come. A massive thank you also to our other sponsors for making this brand new show happen. That's All About Hearing, Green King, Forward Floors, Come Hither Design, the Hudson Group, Sound 4, Pro Audio, Venue 16, everybody. Come on. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. We need as many subscribers as we can get. Hit the like button as well, and that'll help us keep the channel going. So let me properly introduce you to the team this week. Here is Ipswich and England legend. It's Terry Butcher. Good to see you, Butch.
Good to be back again.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? Now, normally sitting at the far end will be eventually, and I promise he is part of the team, but he's still on grandpa duty, will be Russell Osman. Deputising for Russell Osman this week is Ted Lasso, everybody. Ted Lasso's here. Well done, Ted. The latest on Richmond FC to come later on. And behind Beatty's Bar, with no alcohol again this week, Phil Ham, it's Phil Ham from twtd.co.uk.
Hello.
And a big well done also to Richard, to John and to Mark who are on technicals. And a big round of applause to your good selves, our capacity crowd. They're bonkers.
Well, you have to be to work here, don't you?
You do really. Yeah, you do. But nice to see you all. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for tuning in and listening into the show, which is going so incredibly well. So far, we've been, 3 episodes, and we've had over 35,000 views, pushing towards 40 now. I think that's amazing. So thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, that's great, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's amazing to see different people. You see 1 or 2 regulars, but different people coming in, and they think the studio is a lot bigger than what it actually is. So they're all crowded and shoehorned in the corner, and it's a bit hot and sweaty, but... No, it's just everybody wants to be here. We can't divulge the address and where we are, but everybody wants to be here, and I think that's the main thing.
And they've come from all over the world to be here today.
An international audience.
International audience, yeah. The reaction's been really good, hasn't it, to the show, which we're really pleased with.
It's really gratifying, isn't it, how nice people have been about the episode so far and the guests, and I think it's all been very good, hasn't it?
Excellent, yeah. We've got some nice comments coming through.
Are you getting any bad press at all, Phil?
No, only from you lot.
Oh, okay.
Only from you two.
Well, you were dubbed last week 4-second Phil, weren't you, for your Keep You Up challenge. And I did write 4-second Phil on the Keep You Up challenge leaderboard over there, which Chambo is now at the top of after last week. You can go back and watch all the episodes, by the way, if you haven't seen them yet. Connor Chaplin, Cole Skews, Luke Chambers. And you're in last place at the moment.
Yeah, well, yeah. I meant to write myself down in 10th. It was my plan, even though we've only had 3 people.
Well, perhaps there'll be a chance for you to go higher up the leaderboard at some point.
With extensive coaching.
Yeah,
I think.
we can manage that.
Where's George?
That. Lots of nice comments coming through on last week's show. Bugs has been in touch. Yet another great show, guys. Good luck to Chambo in whatever he does in the future. He's been unfairly tarred by some of our more ignorant supporters due to relegation, but he was a great captain and a great player for us. I think we would all agree with that. David, another fantastic show. Great views, positivity and anecdotes from everyone. David Brocken, another brilliant show, Mark and team. Please say a big thank you to George for all the wonderful memories he brought us at Ipswich Town. Come on, you Blues. That's a little hint as to our special guest in a moment or two. Dawn's been in touch. Keep up the good work, guys. Loved every minute of this episode. Luke, what a fine person he is. And a couple more. Carly's been in touch. So we're 3 episodes deep now, and I'm hooked on Life's a Pitch TV. Absolutely loving the show and really enjoyed Chambo's humility and banter on this one. Congratulations, Chambo, on embracing retirement. Such refreshing, positive vibes about your future up the town. And George says, really enjoyed the first 3 episodes. Keep up the good work. So if you are enjoying it and you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe and please like the show, and it will help us keep the show going. We've got lots to talk about today, haven't we? We've got games that have gone, games to look forward to, but we're going to bring in our special guest, someone Butch you know very well.
Yes, someone I do know very well, known for a long time. A very, very good friend and colleague, and also a boss as well. So he's been my boss on one occasion, but he has bossed me around on many others. So
that takes some doing, doesn't it?
It'll be great to see him. It'll be great to see him. But I'm just fascinated because I do a lot of research on the guests.
Yes.
And I've gone into some absolute legends at the club, and even Connor Chaplin. He's got a great history as well, and we'll have an even better one later on. But these guys that come in, what they've done and what they've given Ipswich Town in the past has just been immense. And I feel proud to be on this sofa, this biggest sofa in the world, talking to them and saying, look, what about your careers? Because their careers virtually speak for themselves. And this guest coming on now, unbelievable Ipswich Town manager, unbelievable Ipswich Town player, but just an unbelievable guy as well. So we have some of the best people on this show, and he's definitely one of them.
We do indeed. Capacity crowd, give a big welcome. It's George Burley! George Burley, my goodness me, Burley's Barmy Army. The amount of times that we've sung that over the years, haven't we? Oh my goodness, what's it like hearing that again?
Yes, great. But as Terry says, most of my life has been spent in Ipswich. Starting from a 15-year-old, and you go through so many different memories. But it's a fantastic club, and I was, proud and so pleased to be, involved with teammates, fantastic players, fantastic people as a player, and then eventually back again to take the club back into Europe. So what can I say? It's been my life. It's still my life now, living in Ipswich. My family love it there. My family stay here. So it couldn't have went any better.
You talk about taking us into Europe. Behind Phil Ham at the BT Bar there is a "We're All Going on a European Tour" flag, which I got from our European tour in, I think, 2001. Bam Bam's signed that, actually, and that's the flag that went all the way to Inter Milan.
Yeah, European football. I mean, I came to Ipswich from Colchester, and I thought, well, what am I going to try and do? The club's at a position where they're near the bottom of the league, but I remember being in Europe, and I said to the press, I want to take the club back to Europe. And he went, are you sure? Are you a mad Scotsman? You get no chance. So dreams do come true, and it did. And and now the feel about the place is similar, which is great because we've had hard times, and all clubs go through that. But I remember a 15-year-old, nobody could understand me. Even Terry couldn't understand
George,
me.
I have to say, you've really picked up the Suffolk accent.
I'm a true Suffolk boy now, so that's great. And I say that some of the best times of my life was when I was apprentice. We came to a club. I came here, left home at 15. My mum and dad wanted me to stay. I thought, let's give it a go. And really, it just went from strength to strength, and because of the people. When you look at the people, the Bobby Robson, the best manager ever in time. There's no doubt about that. And he came to Ipswich, and it was a lot. Remember, I don't know if anybody remembers that far back. We're playing Man United. We get pummeled about 4-5-1. George Best was playing, and they were shouting Robson off, Robson out, and the co-balls went, Bobby, I'm embarrassed with that, fans. I'll give you another year's contract. And that's where it all came from. That belief in your manager. The co-balls were special people. Terry could tell you loads of stories, especially them at the bar,
I can't remember, George, to be honest.
Well, they did, because they looked the same when they were sober and they were drunk.
But you like when you came here, you got to like the food very much, didn't you?
Oh,
because Kevin Beattie, he liked to give people nicknames, and he enabled you. He gave you the nickname Two Dinners, didn't he?
Well, those were the days.
Because you literally had two dinners.
I had a big appetite. Especially my favourite, there was Tatties and Mince, and it's still the same. Plain and simple. So but those were younger days when we're training hard, playing hard, but to be brought up as a person, walking about Ipswich. We used to stand at the Cornhill there, watching all the girls walking past, and we had the great times with it. We were part of the community. Everybody used to be walking about. All the players used to be walking about town. It's all changed now, which is maybe not for the best, but that's the way it is. But we were part of you, because everybody used to say, "Hey, George, how's things?" It's beginning to come back. When I'm walking about Christchurch Park, now they want to talk about football. So that's great. They weren't wanting to do that 3 or 4 years ago. No. But, so for me, Ipswich is part of me. You can't take away, 14 years as a player and 8 as a manager. I mean, that is a long time. And, and it's, people say, oh, well, you got relegated. But you think, well, we had 4 playoffs. We had 2 years in Europe. We're fifth in the Premiership. I managed to win, Manager of the Year. So, there'll always be some times where it changes. And now I feel the atmosphere about the place is going to get back to where it once was.
Well, George, I can throw these notes away now because you've described everything I'm going to ask a question about.
Mine too. Well, should we take you back to the beginning? Your debut. A bit daunting, wasn't it? Old Trafford, Man United away, George Best.
Well, I always tell the story about Sir Bobby. I played for the youth team and did quite well there. Actually won Player of the Year of South East Counties. I'll drop that one in. You didn't get that one, Terry, did you? I don't forget those things.
That's about the 33rd time I've heard it, George, but never mind.
And then Bobby came on the Thursday, said, bring your stuff to travel. I went, okay, maybe when I was only 17, I'll travel, but, So then on the Friday morning, he says, you're going to play, George. So you better, will your mum and dad come? I thought, well, Ayrshire, going to Manchester, still took you about 7-8 hours. I think they had an old sort of Hillman Minx or something. But so I phones up, hey, Mum, Dad, I'm going to be playing at Old Trafford, and I'll be probably playing against George Best. All right, son. So they left, gave themselves about 8 hours to get there. So I was sitting in the car park, and I look over, and Bobby walks down the bus. Says, George, is your mum and dad here? Yeah. I said, yeah, they're over there, Bobby. Fine. So he goes out the coach, walks along. Mr. and Mrs. Burley, there's 2 director's box tickets. And that just a bit summed him up. Yeah. Wow. So the game went quite well, and Bobby there. I think Bestie only nutmegged me 3 times. So wasn't bad.
Result, isn't it?
We got beat then, but Bobby raved about me and it just went from there. So that was a great occasion, and it couldn't have been any better at Old Trafford.
He did rave about you because after the game, he lost 2-0 in that game, remember?
I forget about that one.
I looked it up. No, but hang on. But Bobby Robson accused his players of jumping so high away from tackles that 5 of them should have been on horses. You can imagine him saying that. He also said that 10 of his players should give their wages to George Burley, who was a 17-year-old boy. That kid of 17, he said, just coming into the side was superb, and we let him down. Wow, unbelievable.
He probably felt for me because I think I was earning £7.43 at the time.
I mean, that is praise indeed, though, isn't it? Really, for your debut like that, it's amazing, isn't it?
Well, that was Sir Bobby because he loved bringing young players through. What a record he had! I think he signed 14 players for his whole time, his 12 years as a manager. I mean, clubs are signing 14 players every season now. So that shows you how he treated them. Because I'm sure that he must have felt, maybe George didn't have a good game. Leave him out. Rest him these days. You hear managers saying, no, we've got to bring him out. And Bobby says, go and play. Learn from mistakes and get better. And sometimes these days he just drag you out. And that's not a great sign. But Ipswich, we won the Youth Cup 70. You view it record 73, 75, and that was the start of the beginning, bringing young players through. And I think the community appreciated that. They said, "Oh, you young kids playing. You've got a chance at Ipswich because they'll give you a chance in the first team."
Was that for the rest of your career? You brought a lot of young players through. Was that because of what Sir Bobby did?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think when you're a player, you look at things you want to bring as a manager, and one of the things that Bobby did with young players, and I love working with young players. I like to get in the train, bring young players, especially for Scottish. You could understand me. So that was great. So you're bringing
the only
young
ones,
players.
George. They're the only ones.
You'd walk in, you'd Brazil, people like that. They could do it. So I think when I've been very lucky at Ipswich and Derby and Southampton, where
I wonder when Gareth Bale had come into it. Yeah,
yeah, young players. They were all 17, and I think we brought so many young players at Ipswich. You can name about 7, 8 of them that came through and played at 17.
Yeah.
Was that when Tom Huddleston came through as well, didn't he?
Derby, that was another one of mine. Yeah,
but then they sold him, didn't they? Or were they going to sell him? Was that one of the reasons why you left there?
Yeah, one of the reasons. And the chief executive was a nutcase.
Well, I know. Yeah.
And here he is tonight in our capacity crowd.
And by the way, he still owes you money, didn't he?
He does owe me money, a lot of money, yeah. But I did warn you about him before.
No, too late then.
Yeah, no.
And then you've obviously, you worked at lots of clubs, and you mentioned Southampton and Gareth Bale. Obviously, I think Bart, you gave him a debut at Southampton as well. At Ipswich, it was Kieran and Richard Wright and
Darren Bent,
Darren Ambrose, James Scowcroft,
Richard Naylor.
It's a very long list, isn't it? And as you say, the community, most of those places, Titus, we've not mentioned Titus, they're all, a large number of those are actually local boys, aren't they?
Yeah,
Which I think appeals to supporters.
It's great because we'll go back in the past. 4 or 5 years ago, they decided to do away with the community project. I couldn't believe it. And some of these young kids were going to Norwich. So
eventually you came up with it. Yeah,
well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
And then thankfully, with the new owners and that, and the new people, they brought it back again. And I take 2 of the grandsons down there on a Thursday night sometimes to Portman Road. What a great atmosphere. And it's getting bigger and bigger, and you feel about it, and they're going to produce good players, because the more that comes through, the more you work at it, the better players that come. So Bobby had this visage of going right round Britain to find young players, and he got them from Carlisle, the beat from there, and got them from Scotland, Walkie and Alan Brazil, from there, got them, everywhere, even from Norfolk.
No.
Oh dear.
I don't think you got anybody from Norfolk, George. But,
Clive Woods.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Trevor Wymart. They're on the border, like Laurie Civil.
They're on the border.
So he went everywhere for it from there to get players in. So and I think that's what you've got to do. So hopefully now the system's on the right road, and we'll see young Ipswich, produce born and bred players come into the team.
It's good to see, and we all love that, don't we? We all love the youngsters coming through. We really do. What do you make of young Harry Clark at the moment?
Yeah, he came in and did really well. And I thought Dinashian was so unlucky to get left out, but Clark is maybe more of an actual right back. So, even last night he changed 11 players. I wasn't at the game, and people were saying it was just as good as the first team. So you got a great squad of players. You can't win in 11 players. So you need a squad these days with the amount of there, and bringing young players like Clark back, because he was a really good youngster, goes to Arsenal, comes back again, and it's worked very well. Yeah,
it's working very well. Behind you, George, is a scarf, a genuine scarf, Ipswich Wembley 1978. Let's talk about Ipswich and their FA Cup runs. It took a few years to actually finally lift that trophy. You came close once before, didn't you? Take us through the history of those FA Cup runs when you were playing.
Yeah, the FA Cup's always been very important, more so then than it is now. And you wanted to do it. We got to the semi-final, which was fantastic. Brian Hamilton keeps talking about the goals that got disallowed, and
we all
Clive
do,
Thomas.
Yeah. Clive Thomas went away without a boo then, everybody. Come on. Clearly they're not old enough to remember that we booed Clive Thomas.
And you go through and you try. There's not many people get to Wembley, apart from if you play for England. No, it's okay. I was in Scotland, went to Wembley, never won a game, but I won't talk about that.
You got beat all the time, George. Actually, I've got one of your shirts.
All right, okay.
Number 2, yeah. It was after a victory, of course. But
did it have?
I think he threw it at me. To me.
Did it have blood on it as well?
No.
Okay.
No. Mine did, but yours didn't.
No, but actually, I remember the running. For me, I keep talking about the semi-final at Arsenal was the biggest game, the most thrill to actually know we're getting to Wembley. And I think anybody who was there on the way back and the bus, the whole of the route was covered with Ipswich Town fans. You know, the whole of it. So you've got all these scarves and shirts on the motorway, on the bridges. Was a fantastic feeling. Then you had 1 month of every single person asking you for a ticket. Have you got a ticket? Have you got a ticket? So every shop was covered in blue and white. The display was all blue. So that was the whole of Ipswich for 1 month talking about it. And then actually when we won it, everybody was so shattered. I mean, it really was emotional. And it was quite a heavy pitch because we trained in the Friday night and it had been a lot of rain and we played there and it was quite heavy. I mean, that's why Roger actually collapsed when he scored. You know, we had to try and pick him up and take him off. And Roger's a strong lad, but it was quite a stamina sapping pitch. So,
you almost scored as well.
Yeah, well, we're header with big Pat Jennings without big hand just flowed in.
But I mean, I'm just surprised it was a header, but there we are.
I don't know what I was doing there, but
I remember one of your headers. And he broke my cheekbone and bruised. And he put me out of the Charity Shield, which was a good thing because we lost 5-0. So I think my career was enhanced. Not on my record, no.
I was talking to one of your sons the other day there, and I was telling him, "You didn't, did you?" I said, "Well, it was an accident, you know. It was an accident, you know." And actually, when I got down, I ran away and kept away from him for about a month anyway.
I spoke to Paul Mariner years ago about the FA Cup final, and he said the thing that he remembered most was coming out of the tunnel and the noise of the town fans as you came out of the tunnel. Is that a particular memory for you as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's such an emotional event, isn't it? You know, and you're really very focused on it. You know, and those days they had the cameras at about 9 o'clock having breakfast when we were in a hotel in London, right all the way through, and you don't get that so much now. So it was a big build up to it there. And I think everybody wrote us off, said, "Oh, well, Arsenal was going to win this game," and that. I thought, why? Because that was probably one of the worst positions in the league we'd finished for many years, so we didn't have a great season there. But before then, we were tops. You know, we were right up, top 3 every season from 72 right the way to 78. We were above Arsenal. You know, we were there, so we had no fears. You know, and we knew with the quality in the team, and we were out there and played. You know, and Maris hits the post, Walkie hits the bar, they were there. They never really had a kick, you know. And actually, we always tease Walkie, because Walkie took about 15 minutes before he touched the ball. Believe it or not. You know, but those players like that could score goals. And, I think the confidence was there. And really, we should have won by 3 or 4 goals, you know. And then for somebody like Roger Osborne, a local lad, a lad who wasn't maybe regular, such 100%, type of guy. You trust him with your life. He's a Suffolk boy, and for him to get the winner was really tremendous.
You know, when before the final, the week before the final, we got smashed, didn't we? At Villa. Was it Villa?
6-1.
6-1.
You were at the bar.
No. No, I was only young then. I remember this. And so the two Bobbies changed the team and the formation for the final itself. When he broke the team to you, he told you the team at the hotel or at Wembley, I don't know. But when he told you the team and how you're going to line up, have you done any work on that beforehand?
On the Thursday before the final?
Yeah.
I mean, as far as work concerned, we didn't do too much, of play. Usually, you trained the same way, but, these days you have a pattern of play and that. Bobby used to say, well, you're a right back, do what you're good at. And there, so you didn't do shape. All these players these days want shape. Bobby was more the sort of fashion to go and play. But of course, once he's changing it, because he changed Roger for Colin Viljoy, and it didn't work out. Roger was a very popular lad. I could say Colin Viljoy wasn't too popular, but that's everybody's opinion. But so he changed it. I think he announced it on Thursday, and everybody went, great. We've got somebody who we know well, who knows there. Roger played in front of me. I knew exactly what he would do for me. So that suited me down to it. So he got it right. So he tried one thing, it didn't work, and then he changed it. But he wasn't a type of manager who said, we're playing that way, you've got to do this, do that. And we actually just changed our shape a little bit, and that was Bobby Ferguson changed it to play David Geddes a little bit wide. Because, Arsenal were very good left-hand side. Liam Brady, fantastic player. So we blocked that area off for Liam to get the ball. And it worked a treat.
We had and their fullbacks as well. Their fullbacks.
Nelson.
Nelson on one side and Rice on the other. Yeah.
So we blocked it.
What Bobby was really good at was building teams. So he built a team that won the FA Cup, and then the rebuild began to win the UEFA Cup with you, Butch, of course. And he was great at doing that, wasn't he? And you have to do that. You can only rely on players for a certain amount of time. But it wasn't revolution, was it? It was evolution all the way through. Especially when the Dutch boys arrived.
Yeah, he changed it. I mean, bless him. David Johnson, Paul Mariner. David Johnson left and Paul Mariner came in. Then, you just say when we were changing more of a continental play, Murid and Tyson. I think Arnold said the first game, he said he get dizzy, the ball getting kicked over his head all the time, which, is not Dutch football. So we think, hang on there. And I had Franz Tyson in front of me. Oh, what a player. I used to get the ball, roll it to Franz, the 3 players marking him. Oh, so what? Just roll the ball, and I would go bump, and I'm off. I'm on my bike. I couldn't have done that with Roger Osborne. So, because he was more of a hard worker. Franz had ability on the ball. He could turn, he twist, he had that hook. He used to hook the ball round and let the defenders run that way, and he'd go the opposite way. So that's how we changed it. So, and you get, like Alan Brazil, you've got he wasn't the best with the ball to feet, but if he played it into areas like Arnold Murin, he had a sandwich in his left foot, a sandwich, and he used to put it over, and Alan, one against one was second to none, so he would boom. So you've got a little bit of combinations all over the field. And you've got Terry and Russell before we had the Beat and Alan Hunter. So you're having combinations, which is so important. And that's what Bobby used to do, combinations on the pitch. And you cannot believe Johnny Walk was a sitting midfield player. Defensive midfield player.
He was a centre-half when he first came to the club.
Centre-half. He played defensive midfield player about every game during that time. And he was a leading goal scorer. And he had the record in Europe for many years, but 10, 15 years scoring the most goals from a sitting midfield player in the whole of Europe. And I tell you what, if he was playing now, he'd be worth 200 million.
Definitely. We often speculate what you would have all been worth in today's market when every single one of you in that era, top notch, so many internationals. It's incredible the amount of internationals in that squad. Yeah,
we had good players, but Sir Bobby, he was a shrewd cookie. So he used to go at the end of the season, and I talked about £7.43, and that's my first 2 wages was £7.43 and £8.43 from my 15 to 17. So I'm playing in the first team. I played about 40, 50 games. So I said to Bobby, I've been playing regular in the first team. Can I get a bit of a rise here? And he looks down. How much do you want? I said, well, maybe, 50 quid, 100 quid. He says, what? He says, look, do you know how many bonuses you had last season? I went, no. And he goes, do you know, I could go down the road and I could find a right back as good as you for half that. Okay, Bobby, I'll sign that contract. He was such a shrewd cookie, and everybody goes up with you because before you start he's going to push you right down.
Yeah, he did it to everybody, George. He did it to me as well. Yeah, he was remarkable when it came to money. I mean, I know Scottish people are very tight with money, George, but Bobby was unbelievable. Bobby was unbelievable. Yeah, he used to get you in, and he would, butter you up and say how great you're doing, and then when it came to the money, he'd tell you how bad you were. So that was it. He got it too. He got it double whammy, didn't he?
Somebody will get better.
Double whammy.
So George, 81 UEFA Cup. You missed the final. You missed most of that season. I think it was an injury at Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
And it was a cruciate, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And is it right? You were the first player to come back from a cruciate.
Yeah, I was.
So you must have feared for your career at that point.
Yeah, I did definitely. I mean. It was January, FA Cup, ball goes over my head. I leaned back and felt my leg underneath me. So, fine. Because, believe it or not, I never had any treatment. Scotsmen didn't get treatment there.
They couldn't afford it, that's for sure, yeah.
So I picked myself up. Right, I hobbled about. We'd used were one sub. Right, so I'm running there. So they put me down out the right wing. So Walkie's getting the ball. And he kept passing me the ball. I said, Walkie, I can't move. Don't pass me the ball. So, okay. So eventually, physio, treatment, went to the training ground, kept falling over. So I was lucky enough. Kevin, unfortunately, had problems with me, and eventually went to Cambridge. A surgeon called Mr. Dandy, and he brought the arthroscope to this country, and he looked at my knee, and he could move it always. He said, well, George, I'm not sure, but you've torn your cruciate ligament, medial ligament, cartilage, and I don't think you'll play again. And that's what he told me.
How does that feel when he says that to you?
Well, yeah, you can imagine.
Yeah.
It was 23, 24. So it was, and it was hard. It's a hard drive back. But the physio said, don't worry, he's a great surgeon and I'll get you fit at Cambridge. So I went every day to Cambridge. He wouldn't let me near the ground because he said, nobody else is touching your knee. I'm going to get you right. 7.5 months, 8 months' time, I was fit and I went to World Cups in 82. So he did a good job. Yeah. But it was a difficult time.
I can imagine,
I'll tell you what happened as well, because I just told the story before, we just reminisced about it. When he actually had the cruciate operation in probably about March, we were playing a game. I think we were playing Forest or somebody. We were going to play a game. So we got in the bus, went past Cambridge as you had to do in those days, and we went in. And so all the squad piled into George's room, nice private room and everything else. So we all piled in. But unbeknown to George and to Jill, I think his wife, we had, the lad's a bit of a lad, so we had a blow-up doll on the bus. And we put my coat around the blow-up doll and we would bring it in. The World War films when they used to have the Stooges and all that sort of thing. So we shuffled together and got this blow-up doll into the room. And we gave it to George on the bed, sort of thing. So he said, and we thought it was a great hoot, great laugh. But then the nurses came in, and I think Jill wasn't happy either. So we had to get out pretty quick. So we left him with the blow-up doll.
Yeah, because I was laying there. Had just been operated. I had a full-length plaster, and it was covered in blood. And I'm sort of, and I hear this noise. I heard, that sounds like Mariner. So. And then all of a sudden, Maris comes through the door and he's got this doll in his shoulder. And I couldn't move because I was just had a 5-hour operation on my knee. So I'm sitting there and I'm going like this and that. And he, George, in our house things and all. And he sat it down next to me on the chair. So I'm sitting there, all right, we're off to Forest. All right, see you later, boys. And I'm still sitting there. And all I can see is the wee nurses. They're looking through the door having a laugh at this blow-up doll next to me. And Jill walks in. She says, what's going on here? And I says to Jill, could you take that out? She says, I'm not carrying that out. So it was there for about 2 days. I couldn't move.
You didn't use it? No, carry on now.
I mean, that shows the camaraderie in the team, doesn't it? And the way they looked out for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. But, it's funny now. It wasn't so funny then, but I mean, the spirit of the boys was unbelievable. We played golf together. We used to play out on the Wednesdays. We went out together. We went everywhere. Everybody was really close, and I think there was a big majority. I mean, I remember Charlie Wood saying to me that, a few years ago, he said, Bobby come in and said, by the way, congratulations to all the coaches. Do you know that every one of those players come through the youth team that played today? And Charlie said, oh, you're right, Bobby. And that was the way it was. We were brought up together. We had some great times together from 16 or whatever age we were through, and we were so close.
I think we're seeing that camaraderie now with this current team. They were fantastic together last season. You can see them. I was watching them on the pitch last night. They're together. They're playing golf. They're socialising. They're living here. Particularly when we got promoted last season, they were all on the town like the old days, in the haunts and the bars. It's got that feel about it. It's also got that feel like we had with you, with the team that you took up in 2000, when it was a team that were really together. And we saw that again through the promotion, didn't we, in that first year in the Premier League? How important is that for a successful side?
Of course, it's a team. It's not individuals. You know, when you're a player, you've got to have combinations. Just said that. There's got to be combinations all over the pitch, and certainly the team at the moment has that. And really, I think they've got an excellent manager. His feet's in the ground, you know, and he wants them to play the right way with attacking football and scoring goals, which is important as well. And I think the signs are very good. And you know, I really enjoyed the game on Sunday, because sometimes you go down to the ground and no disrespect to the First Division, but you know, you couldn't compare the two teams. You know, our team against the opposition. But on Sunday, you know, and credit to Morga, you know, he's brought up the right way, by the way. And Vino. Morga, I spoke to Morga the other day, and he says, bloody Vino's coaching him, and he says he's still doing your passing drills. And I thought, and
on commission.
And actually Marcus Stewart said that to me as well the other day there. So as I say, it's important that you're all with it together from there, and it's good to see the teamwork, but they've still got, you know, a wee bit to go, and they're not getting carried away. We set the bar. The bar was 10 years in Europe. And then with as manager, 4 playoffs in the trot, finishing 5th in the Premiership. So they've got that. They've got to raise that bar. But I've got every confidence they'll be there at some point.
How did it feel in those playoffs? Those year after year. I know how it felt on the terraces. You know, getting so close year after year.
Football's a game, you know, test of character. And everybody's got to be together. You talk about that. And we had to sell a player every year. You know, you people, you know, Mauricio Tarico, Alec Matthew, Ian Marshall, you know, you had Kieran Dyer. So we had to stick together. You know, and I'm sure as a player, and you lose maybe when you're good players, you think, what's going on here? But with that belief, and the fans believed in it, so we were together. And that's what kept us going. You know, not one individual, not one aspect, but everybody together, fans, players, stuck together, and we got there.
And you developed the team. What was the squad that you inherited? Did you look at it? Because obviously, I think when you took over, relegation was inevitable, wasn't it, that season in the Premier League? And you looked at that squad and thought, I've really got to change this fairly quickly. I think you made quite a few changes the following summer, didn't you? But then it was a development over time, wasn't it?
I think any manager that goes into a new club, we had a lot of players, and you know, and things weren't going great. You've got to develop your own team, you know, and they've got to know that the players are with you or not, you know. So you've got to make ruthless decisions, you know, to build in anything, and that is the manager. You can't just say keep players or whatever, you know. Even like young players, you know, like sometimes we'll give somebody another year. I mean. I always feel like a young player at 17 or 18, if he's not quite there, he'd be better moving on. You know, like players move on. Like, you know, you look at Matt Holland, he didn't quite make it at West Ham. Goes to Bournemouth, we take him, and he ends up going and plays in the World Cups. So it's better that young players, if they're not going to get the chance, you've got to say, at the moment we can't offer you something for their own benefit, and then they move on, and you've got to move on as well.
What do you think about, I mean, I've got to mention Dale Roberts, because, you know, we all love Dale Roberts immensely, and how big a part was he in the process?
A major part of the team, you know, and we talk about, you know, players, we talk about, you know, Sir Bobby, but he had, you know, Cyril Lee and Bobby Ferguson, Charlie Woods. So it's very important, and Dale was, you know, my best friend, my best man. He was at Scotland with me, so Colchester, Ipswich, so he was very much a part of me, you know. So that was a massive blow as a person, more than anything, you know, and as a team member. But you know, I think it was difficult to come over it, but we had to move on. And you know, and he's, you know, we're actually, you know, we're still very much in contact with his wife and family. But when in life, it's not easy.
Yeah, but he was. I mean, his contribution? He was a lovable guy. We all loved him so much, and obviously that warmth and that attitude to players helped enormously.
It does. You know, as a manager, you rely on your staff, and you know, Dale was from the northeast. He liked being with the players. He had a great spirit with them. He would tell them black and white what he thought. He worked really hard in the training ground, and he couldn't ask for any more than a better coach. So it was a big loss for everybody and for the team as well.
Something Jambo said last week was about Mick and during his time was that he felt it became a bit predictable. And it reminded me that when you were the manager, you used to change your coaches, didn't you? Every couple of years, you had John Gorman for a bit, you had Stuart Houston for a bit, Brian Hamilton for a bit, and I've spoken to players of your squad, and they felt that kept things fresh. And they felt that was a very positive thing that you did. That was deliberate, presumably.
I think just things develop. It's not a one say I've got to change him because of that, or you got to do that. I mean, you listen to some of the players. I remember like David Johnson in TV. George used to do the same sort of training all the time. I think, well, what does Andy Murray do? What does what do sportsmen do? It's repetition. If you don't actually able to do the simple things well, you can't play football. So if I can't control it or pass it to somebody, because Terry will tell you there used to be after training there was so many players going bang. Russell would knock balls with Terry. With Paul Murray, and I used to just ping balls into him and control. And I would say to the boy Hurst, he needs to do that. He needs to do that, so his first touches go boom, boom, and that's top quality. That is top quality. So it's all about repetition. I talked about Vino and Marcus Stewart. They think, do it all. So, but as I say, sometimes coaches move and circumstances change. There's not a deliberate thing. Well, he's not good enough. I've got to change it. It's just circumstances. I even tried to get a good coach at with Scotland. And Terry turned up, so that was the only Englishman I could get.
How did you get Terry Butcher in a Scotland shirt?
Well, Terry was.
That was a weak moment, Butch, wasn't it?
Terry seen the light. Terry, especially when Maradona was about, but
George, you hit me again.
No, but Terry was brought up in the same beliefs. If you got the same beliefs about the football, with Bobby Robson, the way we played, the same sort of 100% attitude, honest as day long, it was a no-brainer. I was pleased he accepted. Maybe you wish he hadn't accepted it, but all credit for us. He came with me.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't sing the national anthem, put it that way. But no, I was. I loved it because you're working with the best. I mean, look, the best three managers Ipswich have ever had have managed their country. So you've managed Ipswich, you played for Ipswich. I mean, Sir Alf didn't play for Ipswich, but he managed them and then became a manager of his country. So three players, three great players and three great managers. So we should feel very honoured that George is still here with us.
George, lots of people getting in touch saying just thank you so much for the great times as a player and also as a manager. We've had loads of people getting in touch about that. Just a couple from our socials because we're running short on time this week. This is from George. When you look back at your career, what are you most proud of? The FA Cup win or the promotion and the first year's success in the Premier League? So, FA Cup, promotion, first season in the Premier League. What are you most proud of?
Well, I think playing, you can't take away playing. Playing was the most enjoyable. But I think getting promoted and doing so well in the Premiership, it was the whole of Ipswich. We just talked about, fans. We've got all these different tours in Europe. These are something you'll remember the rest of your life. So I've gave quite a lot of fans, some great memories of Wembley, of Milan and Moscow and Sweden. So that would be mine because of everybody involved, and for that achievement, to do what we did, to eventually get there, with no finance at all, and having such a great group of people, bringing players through, making international players, having that sort of discipline in their play as well. And I think it would have to be that.
Okay. We're going to take some questions from our capacity crowd in a moment or two. But there is something very special that we love on Life's a Pitch, and that is our Keep It Up challenge. Now, the thing is, George, you're carrying a bit of an injury, aren't you?
We've just talked about it.
No, come on. Look, we've got to,
give him
look
a
after
break.
him.
Give him a break. Come on.
Give him a break,
I really should have
everybody.
used that excuse myself the other week.
So what we did before we went on air was Butch and I drew lots, and Phil Ham won. And Phil wanted, he's really grumbly that he only managed to get 6 the first time. And earlier this evening, he was saying, well, I'd love a chance at some point to...
I think that's my twin brother. I think
to get that sorted out so that we could actually see if he can do more than 6. Shall we give him the ball? Come on, Phil. Here is your ball. Come on, no hobbling. See if you can beat your own record of 6. George, do you want to coach him through this a bit?
He doesn't need it. He's got all the gear on there.
all the gear and no idea.
Yeah. I think I will actually come in my boots now each week.
And the thing is, I've got the whistle. And the capacity crowd is going to count. Butch has got the timer. So, Phil, you got 60 seconds. Yeah, it won't take long, everybody, so don't worry. It won't be long. Okay? So are you ready, Phil? Okay? Not really. No, well, this is a chance to redeem yourself, okay? So, 60 seconds begins. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Mark,
I feel rather.
George, your assessment of that? What would you say to him if that was in training?
Keep practicing.
I didn't even start the clock. He was finished before I started it.
2 second Phil.
Yeah.
So why don't you still remain third on the leaderboard, everybody? On the Keep It Up Challenge leaderboard. Fantastic. We've got some mentions here. Now, you've got a friend here from the United States, haven't you?
I have. Mark Stoneman.
Mark, come up to the microphone. Come on, Mark, all the way from New Hampshire in North America. And tell us how you got involved with each other.
Yeah, well, in 2005, if we can all remember that far back, Mark was stationed in Iraq with the US Army. And some people may remember we did TWTD did a shirt collection. And we collected hundreds and hundreds of shirts, and the club got involved, and they sent some old kit, as their old former kits as well. And somehow we got them out to Mark in this town in Iraq called Hamrin, which you were running. Well, you can take up the story from there.
Yeah, I was a captain in the U.S. Army. I was responsible for 3 towns, about 50,000 people, at about 100 soldiers to do that, and we just tried to make a connection with the people. And one of the ways to do that was through football, because everyone talks football. I've been an Ipswich supporter since when George and Terry were playing. I used to live in England. They dirt poor population, but Terry and I were talking earlier, with football, all you need is a ball and a couple of jumpers. Tried to get the government, the U.S. government, to give me money for equipment, for shirts, and, I wasn't as persuasive as Sababi. And I drew blanks. So I contacted Phil. He didn't know me. And I said, hook a brother up. And he and Vanda, his now wife, did a collection at a couple games. And I was like, if we could get 20, that'd be great. 2 teams. And we got in more than 500.
Wow.
It was amazing.
And it was, and I think you said that the kit they had before had a present from Saddam Hussein on it, didn't it?
Yeah, there was a men's league, and I was on a patrol one day, this game was going on, and I noticed after watching for a while, the guys had their shirts on inside out, and I asked one of the Iraqis through my interpreter, I said, why are they wearing them inside out? And it says, well, instead of a sponsor, they have a gift from the president on it. And it was Saddam Hussein had given them the equipment several years before. So they didn't have anything else, so they wore them inside out. Those guys actually sent me pictures like a year or 2 later of them playing a fixture in our away kit.
I'll tweet some of these photos from there. I mean, but you basically hailed a Black Hawk, didn't you, to try and actually get them there?
Yeah, like you said,
a Black Hawk helicopter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As one does.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it took, as Phil was saying, it took us a while to get the stuff out there. Carl Day ran a logistics company. He got the stuff to Balad, which was this huge air base. But by the time I got there, I'd given up all my equipment. We were going home. So I just walked around the flight line one day and until I recognized a pilot. And I was like, you wouldn't be happening to go to Hammering, would you? And the next day they laid on 2 Hawks and we flew all the shirts out there. And I went and gave them to the mayor. And then I went home literally the next day.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
thank you.
And you're going to write. You've got a book coming out at some point, haven't you?
Yeah, I've just finished a book about that year. It's coming out in the new year. It's called Driving Around Waiting to Get Blown Up. And
well, let us know. Let us know when that's out.
And that story features prominently
Brilliant.
because it was definitely a highlight of that tour for
Well,
me.
it's great to have you here.
Thank
I know
you,
we've got a
thank
lot of
you.
North American fans, but thanks for coming in and what you did.
Thanks for having
Brilliant. Billy's here. Where's Billy? Come on, Billy. Question time from Billy for George.
Hi, George.
Hi there.
I had loads of questions for you. You've answered most of them. Thanks, Mark. So
Sorry.
let's go to your toughest opponent. You've mentioned George Best earlier on, but would he have been your toughest opponent, or would it be someone else?
I don't know whether I should say this, by the way. No, Rita says no. My toughest,
No,
unfortunately,
you're not going to say his name, are you?
Maradona.
Oh.
We played Argentina. I think it was about 1979 at Hampden. He was only about 17, 18, and he was unbelievable. You know, that was probably his best time at the before they played against England, of course. But Maradona was unbelievable. You had Johan Cruyff, were there. You remember John Robertson. I used to hate playing against Nottingham Forest because you couldn't mark him, Robbo, because he was so clever. And they had a team where they worked, where the winger went deep and you couldn't get hold of him. And then when they got the ball, we could go wide and he could come inside. So in England, definitely, I think John Robertson, lovely lad as well. He was in the Scotland squad. Yeah. But I was very fortunate to play against a lot of good players as well as Maradona, Terry.
Well, I think we ought to arrange to boo Maradona, actually, for Butcher's sake here, every time that man gets a mention, because he seems to get a lot of mentions, doesn't he, on this?
Too many.
Too many. Melvin's got a question in his England shirt, everybody! Come on, Melvin. Big moment.
George, you might recognise this.
Yeah, well, yeah. Don't talk to it.
And maybe the number on the back.
All right, number 6.
Yeah. Growing up, obviously, as an 11-year-old, watching the World Cup final, monumentous game, one of the only people on the road to have a television, so the room was quite full. But growing up, we all had heroes, so Bobby Moore and also Bobby Charlton were my schoolboy heroes. Who were your schoolboy heroes?
Schoolboy, I wasn't a big fan of any team, but Rangers were my team. My dad used to take me to Kilmarnock, and they were actually played in Europe in the sort of 68, 69. But my sort of hero was John Gregg. He was a renowned Rangers player. He was big and strong, quite aggressive. So there and worldwide was Pelé. I always think people compare who's the best, Ronaldo, Messi. I mean, Pelé had everything. He had everything. So it would be interesting. It's hard to compare different eras, but Pelé for me was the best ever player. But as a youngster, John Gregg, because he played for Rangers, was my hero.
Yeah.
And who would yours be, Butch, when you were growing up?
Well, the Beat was my hero, and Bobby Moore, of course, number 6. And that's why I love wearing number 6. I couldn't stand wearing number 5 because I looked at my first number when I was younger. I got an Arsenal shirt, believe it or not, because it was the last one on the shelf. So I got that, and my mum got a number 5, which was the last one in the Ducat thing, and she sewed it on number 5. So that was number 5 for Arsenal was a guy called Ian Ure. And he was Scottish from Dundee. I didn't have a clue who he was. And since then,
he's a big hoofer.
Since then, I found out he was absolute crap. So there we go. So my career can only go up.
Well done, Mum. And look, Karen's here from one of our sponsors, All About Hearing. And also we've got Nathan here, who is the Ipswich Town drummer, everybody. Hey! Come on. Nathan, let's have a quick word with you first of all. How long have you been drumming down at the ground?
5 or 6 years now.
5 or 6 years, yeah. And you haven't got the drum here because it's protected, isn't it?
It's locked away, all ready for Saturday.
Yeah.
At the stadium, yeah.
Yeah, and you made a lot of noise against Bristol Rovers in midweek?
Tried to.
Yeah.
Bit hit and miss.
That's
Cup
okay.
games.
15,000
It will do. It was really good for a cup game. Yeah.
28,000, I think, on Saturday, so it'll be nice and loud. And where did the idea come from then?
I just sort of took over from a couple of people. It was the middle of the Mick McCarthy era. They didn't like the football. They left. Fair enough, each to their own. I was there throughout all of that, as were thousands of others. I could drum. They were looking for someone. I said, look, let me have a quick go. I took over for 10 minutes at the end of a game. They were like, you can do it. Took over from there, and I've been doing it ever since.
Well, it's fantastic. Adds to the atmosphere. It really does add to the atmosphere.
No, I enjoy it.
And my goodness, did we need it during mixed time? But it's a little bit cheerier now, isn't it?
It is,
and Karen's here from All About Hearing. And you're going to have to stand on tippy toes to get up to that microphone, Karen, because I mean, it's actually genuinely a lot taller than you are, isn't it? Let's bring that down.
It doesn't take much for me.
You've got a present for Nathan here because you're worried about his hearing.
Well, All About Hearing is all about, obviously, embracing and empowering people with hearing loss. But actually, a lot of our work is about education and hearing protection. So with Nathan's great work and the town really needing that push, and we need so much of the entertainment value from the crowd, we thought we'd protect his hearing. So we've made them in the Ipswich Town colours, so he's going to sport them, and they've got a filter inside, so he'll be able to get all the atmosphere himself, along with protecting his hearing.
Oh, that's brilliant. Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you. One of our great sponsors, All About Hearing. Nathan, you looking forward to Saturday?
Can't wait. Is all I'm going to say. Bring it on.
Bring it on. Excellent. Who's up for Stoke at the weekend? Fantastic. Quick shout out because on Sunday, the 13th of August at Kesgrave, there is a football fun festival. They're doing that in conjunction with the Ipswich Town Foundation, the Community Trust, and it's going to be a fantastic event. So that's at Kesgrave on Sunday, the 13th of August. That's at the Community and Conference Centre if you want to go along there. My phone has been buzzing away, and it must mean that we've got the results through from the Man v Fat Football League.
Here we go. Go on.
And there's your shirt, Butch, from last week. Have you heard of this, George, where the lads go along and play football to try and lose a bit of weight?
Yep.
Okay, interesting names. Are you ready for the scores? Our favourite team is Man Titty, isn't it?
Yes.
We had a couple of the players here last week.
Go on, Man Titty, go on.
So, these are the latest scores. Far from Athletic, 7. To lose a few pounds, 2. Pork Vale, 13.
Keep going, come on.
LA Galaxy Bar, 7.
Ooh.
Man Titty, 9. The Seattle Quarter Pounders, 9.
Oh.
So well done.
Too many draws for them. Too many draws.
I know, competitive matches, but of course it's not just about what the scores are on the pitch. It's about how much they lose and all of that kind of
They've got
stuff.
to keep it tight, haven't they?
They have, yeah. And we've got our scarf up now, our Man v Fat football scarf up here. I think that one went over my head, Butch.
Went over a lot of people's head down here, yeah.
we should have rehearsed that gag.
Yeah,
quick look ahead to Stoke, George. What would you be saying to the lads?
Nothing different. Last season's gone. They've started this season very well. Keep doing the same. You know, and football's a game of habits. Training on a Monday morning rolls on right through the week to the game on the Saturday midweek. Game of habits, good habits. Keep the good habits. Keep practicing. Keep getting better. You know, continual improvement. You know, that is what that should be, whether you're 16 or 35, whatever. Continual improvement. And they've done that. They get better and better as the season went off last season. They've started well. They've got all the quality to compete in this league. You know, go and do what you're good at and keep it going.
Promotion?
Who knows? Certainly, I wouldn't go against it. When I look at the squad, it's an excellent squad. I know that they're trying to add one or two to it because you're always got to look to improve. But I think it's going to be a tough league because the 3 teams that have come down this season are all strong. You know, your Southamptons, your Leeds, your Leicesters, they're big clubs. So that'll be difficult. And you look at Coventry, who look decent on telly. But we've we can defend. We've got good midfield players. We've got good characters. Mosley is a leader. I like him because he's a winner. You need that in your team, And we've got some good, players. Chaplin, 30 goals. He can score goals. So if you've got that in your team, you've got every chance.
Fantastic. Well, good assessment, George. Good assessment. Phil, just a very quick thought on the game against Stoke.
Well, yeah, I think are we unbeaten in 20 now?
20 league games.
20 league games. Yeah, 19, I think, in all competitions. We've got momentum, haven't we? And first game of the season at home.
The last season's gone. Don't think about that now.
Yeah, but it's a good stat. It's a good stat, George.
But it's still, the team is used to
You're
not losing.
As good as your last game, and we were quite good last game.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I think Sunday was an interesting game in that it was a very un-Ipswich performance based on last season, wasn't it? That we didn't have all the ball on Sunday, whereas we dominated matches last season. And
in a different league.
Yeah, I know. But to win in a way that was not like how we won last year, do you know what I mean? I think it was a heartening performance. That
it's a bit of a slow start, wasn't it? I mean, maybe they were overawed perhaps by the occasion. I don't know, but
even when we,
I think I was watching a different game.
No, but even when Sunderland had most of the ball, we still looked really dangerous, didn't we? I think that was the thing, and I think that was probably one of the most heartening things, that I think we will score goals in this division.
Sometimes possession is not that. That
Not
doesn't matter.
everything,
It's what your score is. So we are a possession team. But sometimes you've got to play where you haven't got so much possession, and we showed on Sunday that we could do that.
Yeah,
I think when it comes to games now in the Championship, you assess the game, see what's going on, and you adapt accordingly, because this team can adapt. Whether it's 3 at the back, 4 at the back, or whatever, it can adapt, and I think they've shown that now. They know that they're strong on all facets of the game: defending, attacking, midfield play, everything else. And they saw the game outright. Who was hiding behind their sofa for the last 10 minutes?
Last 13.
Last 13 minutes. But wow, but they should have put it to bed overnight. So they'll learn. The cliche will come back. That you don't finish them off. But I thought they handled it very, very well.
Okay, we're out of time, everybody. I'm sorry about that. But please give a big round of applause, Mr. George Burley. Next week, we'll be joined by someone who also has quite a few appearances for Ipswich Town to his name. Mickey Stockwell is our guest on Life's a Pitch TV next week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow us on our socials on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. If you watch on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Like the shows as well. You can go back and watch Connor Chaplin, Cole Skews and Luke Chambers, and tell all your friends about Life's a Pitch TV. And here's to a big win for Ipswich Town on Saturday at Stoke City. I'll see you down at the ground. From all of us here on Life's a Pitch TV, good night.